Today, my dear friends, we're going to play something pretty cool. We're going to use the chords A, D, and E, but we're going to try and put some movement within them to make them sound more interesting. So, for example, if I was going to play, say, like a bluesy, Delta blues, rock and roll, shuffle-y type of rhythm, rather than just play the straight chord like this, you know, or this, it's good to do something like this. Etc. You get the idea. Just saves you sort of sticking around on the same chord all the time. So that's the plan. That's what we're going to do today. So the first thing I want you to do is to download your free idiot-proof paperwork by clicking the link below. It's a blue link. If you don't see it straight away, click the more button, because sometimes there's a little bit of blurb. It comes up after the more button. So click that and you'll see it. All right, we're going to, there's a little bit of paperwork here because we're going to cover quite a bit today because I haven't done a tutorial for a while. I've been setting up my new Patreon platform, which is going to give you that behind the scenes look at everything that I do, including how I put all this stuff together. So the first Patreon lesson that I'm going to do, which is exclusive to Patreon, is going to show you how I prepare all this sort of stuff so you can do it for yourselves. All right, you know, if you're working on stuff and you need to pass it around to your mates and show them how to do it, as I do with you, then, you know, Patreon, perhaps you should like to join that. In the meantime, thank you for those donations that I get to the channel, okay, for my tea and coffee fund. There's a thanks button at the bottom if you want to donate that way, because it all helps, you know. I'm running out of stuff now, so I have to spend a lot of time putting bits together. This one I put together about half an hour ago. So we'll get straight into it. All right, Patreon though, have a look at that. There's a link below this video. Click on it, little video telling you what it's all about, and hopefully you'll join me there for some nice, interesting behind the scenes stuff. So the first thing I want you to do, you've downloaded your stuff by clicking the blue link below, and you will see this interesting little thing, and you'll look at it and say, what the bloody hell is that? Okay, you'll see that and you'll think, oh no, that looks complicated. Well, it isn't, okay? Everything we're gonna play, we're gonna use 2 fingers. That's all we're going to use. Now look at the first. Look at the fretboard with the chord A above it. Okay, we're looking at an A7. It looks like an A7th, but you know, we can use this around the A shape. The only positions that we're going to play throughout the whole of this particular thing on the A are these 2 fingers here on the 4th string and the 2nd, and then later as we move along the neck, this 3rd finger will be replaced by this 1st finger here, all right, on the 2nd string also. So the only shapes we're going to play are that one, on 2 and, you know, 2nd finger, 3rd finger, and then we'll be dropping this finger down to here. Clearly we'll be moving it up and down the neck, but physically that's all we're going to be doing, all right? And then laterally we'll be moving up and down. So let's look at I'll use a thumb and a finger just to pick those 2 notes so we can hear clearly what they sound like. So we're at fret 2, and we'll play the 4 and 2 just to get to hear the sound. Okay, cool. Then you'll see that we've just played that one there. Then we're going to move up here. So we're up to 3rd fret now, and we're going to rearrange our fingers there, and so on, and so on, okay? You'll get it, it's pretty straightforward. I've had to do it like this. Okay, so we've got our 4 and 2 there. Then we're going to move up to our 3rd fret with the 1st finger. So we're now playing this shape. So we're at fret 3 and 4, same 2 strings again. Then we will rebuild our A7's shape at the 5th fret. And then we'll take that shape up to the 7th fret. It's all written down, you can't go wrong, that's why it's idiot proof. Then we'll move up to the 8th fret with our 1st finger. Don't forget this one's still on, we don't have to take this off at all. So we're now at 8 and 9. We'll move that shape up now to fret 10 and 11. We'll rebuild our A7 shape at the 12th. And then right the way up to the 14th to conclude, which is the octave of that. So if we put that together, we've got this. That's where David Gilmour gets all this stuff. those beautiful country runs that you hear, you know, the Albert Lee type stuff. This is where it begins, all right? It's great. So, so it's great for electric guitar as well when you're fiddling around and you want to do some of that nice twin note stuff. This is where it begins. So we've done that. Okay, there's the A. Look at the next chord, D. And we're going to do exactly the same thing. This time you'll notice that we're playing exactly the same patterns, but instead of our fingers being on strings 4 and 2, they're now on strings 3 and 1. But everything else is the same. You know, so I'll just do the same thing as I've just done on the A, but this time playing the 3 and the 1. What's that off? Yeah, something sprung to mind then. I'll do that again. Tell me what it is. Come on, I'm old, you should know. I'll do it again. Every time, that's it, Photographed by Ringo. I knew I'd heard it. Because when you start playing these things will spring to mind. You'll go, ooh, I've heard that before. Anyway, so we've got those two done, A and D. Now, clearly we need to do an E. Now, I've had to write the E out slightly differently because some of the fingers occupy the same frets and it would have been confusing. So I've done it like this, okay? So our fret positions are marked thus. That's the first thus of the year, folks, okay? So you can see here, exactly the same principle, okay? Don't worry about this down here. This is just an alternative D that we can have a look at later, all right? So let's have a look at this now, or E. Just put your fingers on. I'm saying E, it looks like an E7, but it works around the E chord as well, okay? So we've got our 5 and 3. You'll see that first finger's now moved to the 2nd fret, and the 2nd finger has been replaced by our 3rd. At the 4th fret. Move that back to your first shape, the 7th shape if you like. That's frets 4 and 5. Take that shape up to 6 and 7. Back to your other shape at 7 and 9. Move that shape up 2 frets. So you're at 9 and 11. Back to your E7 shape at 11 and 12. And then finally, to get to the octave, okay. Okay, so they're the notes that we need to know. So if you're playing solo-y stuff and you want to fiddle around with that, you can do. Now, what I want to do now is I want to use bits of what we've just done. I don't want to use all the runs. We're just going to use the sections of it. So the sections we're going to look at now, if you look to this here, you'll see that it says above your thing, moving shuffle rhythm. Okay, moving shuffle rhythm. And you'll see that we've got our shapes that we did before on the A, but we're only fiddling around up to about the 5th fret. We're going to work our way forwards and backwards. Your plec direction is indicated here. You notice it's just going down, up, down, up, down, or up, down, up, down. We start on an up a half beat, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so on, okay? Beats at the bottom, plec directions at the top. It's always following the same up, down, up, down, up, down. Nothing to worry about, nothing to get in the way. So let's look at number 1. I'll play it first and then I'll explain what I'm doing. So this is the pattern we're going for. Okay. Now it's always important to get that rhythm in your head, as I always say. You know, writing stuff down on pieces of paper is all well and good, but if you haven't got the rhythm and the sort of general feel of it in your head, you know, it means nothing. So first thing we're going to do is Okay, that's what we're going. Keep that going in your head. Oh, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 okay. Watch this video over and over again. You'll get it. Okay, so let's begin. You've got your first shape that we looked at before. You should know these by now. It looks like an A7, but you can work around the A chord. Okay, I've called it A. Look down the bottom. You'll see that you've got an arrow coming up and an arrow coming down, and it's got and 1. So, and 1. We move that shape up to the 3rd and 4th fret, and 2. Now try and mute your bass string here, because we're playing around the A, so we don't really want to hear that E string, okay? So just try and let your thumb sit on top of the string. Don't press it in, just let it hang your hand, okay? I'll do that again from the beginning. And 1, and 2. To your 3rd shape at the 5th fret, and 3. Back to the 3rd shape, to the 2nd shape, sorry. I'll do that again. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Can't cock it up, it's all clearly written down. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, we've done that. Let's look at the second page 2 of this particular pattern. Still on the A. Almost identical. Shape-wise, it is identical. Down the bottom, slight difference, but not much. And 1, and we're doing another and on that first A. And 1, and 2. Okay, that's the only difference between the first page and the second page. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Do we get that sort of little swingy thing? So from the beginning of the A, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Now watch my right hand as I'm doing it. Nothing changes. If you turn the volume off, you watch my hand, it's just doing ga-ding, 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 ga-ding. I might be accenting things as you're making things louder, but I'm not changing the direction of my hand, okay? So we've done pages 1 and 2 on the A. So the A is now done. I'll do it one more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then we go to page 3, we're on the D shape. Now, as we just did before, we'll notice that the D, all we're doing is taking these fingers here and we're moving them down to there. Now, as we're strumming, there are certain notes that we want to mute off. Okay, so for example, the 2nd string, we don't really want to hear it, okay? So what we're going to do is we're just going to allow this 2nd finger here to just slightly, just don't go like that, make a big meal of it, just let it touch the string. Because we're not really interested in that note, okay? It doesn't sound rock and roll if you hear it. So all you've got to do is just allow your finger, it should be, normally I'd be insisting on your fingers being on the tips, but in this instance, when we have to mute something, we just let it droop down across there, okay? What are we going to play? Exactly the same as we did on the A. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Now, when I want to avoid the 6 and the 5, as I do, how do I know that? Because I've got 2 crosses here. So they're the ones that we want to try and avoid. And when you watch me playing it like this, you'll see my hands coming up. So, how's he missing those strings if his hand's coming all the way up and down? Well, what I'm actually doing, and we've discussed this before, I'm actually coming at it at an angle. So although my hand is up here, when you look at it from there, I'm actually doing it as like a diagonal sweep. See, I'm not actually striking these strings, I'm coming at it. By the time you see my hand here, I'm this far away from the guitar. But from there, it looks, it looks like I'm coming straight down, but I'm not. These are the little tricks of the trade that, once you've got it in your head, you'll think, that's how it's done. Okay, so I'll do that again. Back to the A. Okay, so we've done the A, we've done the D. Let's have a look at the E now. Okay, very similar thing. Now this one, you don't have to worry about muting anything really. We've got our E7th, or our E as I call it. Again, we've got and 1. For the and 2, I bring this finger forward, exactly as we did on the very first page, A and B, you know, that stuff we did before. And 2. Don't worry if it sounds a little bit dissonant. Good word, don't ask me how to spell it. At speed, you won't hear these weird things. So, then we've got our 3rd shape, which is at the 4th fret, back to the... Now I tend to, when I'm playing this, I tend to leave this finger on. I don't bother replacing that one, because I'm not going all the way down here. I'm lazy. Why am I leaving that one on? Because the 4th shape, I'm going back to that one, and it just gives me less to do, so I'll do that slowly. And 1, and 2, and I'll just bring that finger in. So instead of doing that, I'll just leave that on and bring this finger into the fret. And 3, and 4. And then I'll look at the 2nd, page 6. Exactly the same chords, but again, we've got that little shuffly thing. And these sound great if you sort of mute them a bit as well. In that type of rhythm. So there we have our main shapes, okay? Now, each of these pages represents 1 bar. So you'll notice there are 2 pages for the A, 2 pages for the D, okay? Because we're going across 2 bars. Now what I've done now is I've given you the general layout for 12 bar, blues, rock and roll, whatever you want to call it. So you can either play it like this, and usually it's the last 4 bars that change. So this is very straightforward with this one here, and then this one here, which is probably a little bit more common. It moves around a little bit here, okay? So you've got to jump from one to the other. Now remember, each of these 2 chords here represents 1 cycle of the thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, da, ba, da, da, and so on. All right. So now I'll play this one. I'll play the first one. So download this. Have a look at it. This is your basic layout. Okay. So we've got. I'll do it dead slow. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and again, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2 to the D. Back to the A. E. To the A. I'll do it at speed. Whenever I do anything too slow, I lose the rhythm. Okay, I'll do it again. So this is the first one. So we've got that first one. The second one is a little bit more complicated for the last 4 bars. Let's look at that. Okay, so you'll notice that the E, the D, the A and the E, I sort of pinched a little bit. I started off on the A. That was the first bar of the A, and then I used the second half of the D. So and so on. Now, say you're getting to a part of the song and you say, I can do the A great, but I can't do the D. I'm really ballsing that up. Well, what you could do is this. Just don't panic. There's always an alternative. So, which I would do if my hand got tired. So we could always go like this. You know, just going back to that really basic stuff. But it's good enough for Brian May. It's good enough for us. All right. So what am I doing? And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just adding my little finger to the first string of the 3rd fret. So if I get to a D and I'm finding it tricky, I'll say, well, I'll wait until I've got that mastered before I balls it up in front of all my you know, my audience. Okay, so for example, I will do the second one of these. I'll do this one again, the complicated one, but when I get to the bottom, I'm going to simplify it. Okay, so we don't cock it up. I'll simplify the E as well, shall I? The E, I'll go. I'll put my little finger on the second string at the second fret, or maybe I'll put it on the third string at the second fret. I'll decide, I'll work it out, see. So I'm going to play the A and the D and the A as normal. The D, the A, then I'll do the E like this. So you might think that you might only get the A right. You might think, well, I can only do the A. I don't really want to do the E and the D. So you could go. You know, just sort of da 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 da, or just keep it straight. Da 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 da. Back to the A. And then again, very basic. Good enough for Mark Bolan, good enough for us. Back to the D. But it's great, isn't it? I mean, I just love all that sort of stuff. So that's called a moving shuffle rhythm. All right. Now this other one that I showed you before, you'll notice that there's another little run down the bottom here, which is a D run. I just stuck this on because I had these things left over, so. This is one I use a lot. This is more of a driving rock and roll thing. I won't spend too much time on it. I'll play it for you. It's very self-explanatory. You can't cock it up. So we're going to come down from the 4th string, and our rhythm is going to do this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so this is what I'm going to play. That's something I used to play. In fact, it's on that. I used that lick on that gold record behind me for a. I can't remember what the song was now, but it was cool and I liked it. So let's have a look at that riff. So we've got. I'll just show you the different shapes. Shape 1. It's all written down, so forgive me if I'm not spending too much time on this. 3rd fret, same shape. Together, fingers 2 and 3 and 2 and 3. Sorry, 5th fret. Always play the 4th string, you get that drones throughout. 7th fret, 8th fret, back to your first shape. 10th fret, same as the first shape. Together at the 12th, and then back to the 10 and 11. And then try going the other way. Play the open ones because the open ones. So, and what I did is I put like a little pattern together. Da 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 ba 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 ba. But all the time. That 4th string twanging away. Right, there we are. Some little runs, E runs, D runs, moving shuffle rhythms, 12-bar-y bits and pieces. And what I would suggest you do is put a rhythm on. Just stay with me a minute. Don't go anywhere. Stay where you are. Have a cup of tea. I'm just going to put something on here if I can find it. Bear with me. Let's have a look at what we've got. I'm just putting YouTube on. I'm going to put a drum shuffle. So I'm going to put, say, 120 BPM drum shuffle. Now, shuffle is often referred to as swing, but on these drumming things on YouTube, they refer to it as a shuffle. So let's get a drum shuffle up. We got one here. So let's have a listen to this. Not too fast. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Sounds like it's just fallen down the stairs. upstairs, forgive me. It's him. Let's go again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Simplify the D now. I'll simplify the E. I'll simplify the D. So on. All right, you get the idea? Good. Right, there we are. Now, remember, Patreon, please try and, you've got to pay for that. It's 10 quid a month, but it's going to help keep this channel going, because I've sort of run out of stuff now. I've done hundreds of these things, and I'm now really got to rack my brains and put some time in. So I'm happy to do it because I love doing it, but it does take time, and the more support I get externally from Patreon or some of your donations here, the more it frees me up from doing other lessons. And I can spend more time doing this, so it's really down to you. But I want to try and keep doing 2 lessons a week. All right, that's the important thing. Free ones, that is. Patreon, you'll pay £10 a month, but you'll see me in the recording studio, and you'll see me doing, you know, I mean, I use a guitar to I've made a 50-year career out of playing the guitar, and not just doing gigs, but in theatre, telly, you know, teaching, everything. So it's going to be an insight into how I've used the guitar and whatever to make a living, you know, and I continued living 50 odd years without having to sign on the dole or anything like that. So it's worked for me, and if you know people and they may find it something that they want to do, then maybe Patreon is something for them to look at, okay, where I can impart my information to them. All right, so Patreon. Failing that, thank you very much for the tea and coffee fund. Don't forget to download all your paperwork for the lesson we've run today. There'll be another lesson on Saturday, and that will be teaching you how to move from one chord to another. We've touched on it before. This will be a little bit more in depth, like C, Fs and Gs. You know, when you put like bass lines between chords, and we're going to be looking at various patterns and how to do that, okay? And it's really important because it makes a single guitar sound like 2 guitars, and it makes a mediocre player sound like a great player. All right, so we're going to look at that on Saturday. Until then, Happy New Year, folks. I'm going to love you and leave you. You take care of yourselves. See you next time. Bye bye.